Welcome, Panther fans, Panther Nation. This is Bill Mack here with a brand new season of Panthers football. Keep pounding, everybody. Glad to be back in the behind the camera, I guess you would say. Ready to produce some more Panthers content for this upcoming 2022 season. Folks, trust me, anything's got to be better than what it was last year. I mean, it was terrible. At least we hope so. I mean, we had a lot going on this year. We had a lot of comings and goings, a lot of people that were key components of different areas of our offense and defense. Went to greener pastures, went elsewhere, and we did sign a lot of new pieces, most notably some of the impact pieces to this year's team would be first and foremost. The Carolina Panthers had traded with the Cleveland Browns for quarterback Baker Mayfield. Now you say, well, Bill, we drafted Matt Corral out of the draft, and we already have Sam Darnold. I mean, almost close to $19 million a year on our bench. We have PJ Walker. We have all these. Why are we going for another quarterback? Why are we trading? Well, apparently, if you don't trust in who you have or don't like what you see, you just go out and you make the deals to get what you feel like will be suitable enough for your team and well enough for your team to excel. Now, remind you, Panther Nation, Matt Rule is pretty much in the hot seat. This is year 3. Now, we have seen and we've heard people time and time again state that, Matt Rule will definitely break out and excel. He always does well year 3. Look at what he did at Temple. Look what he did at Baylor. Year 3. This is what he has done. And he has pulled these teams out of mediocrity and brought them to rise in that third year. So this remains to be seen. This is his year 3 here. Literally his year 3. There were a lot of things we did. Now, like I said, it's been a while since I did a video. I did a draft video. Was the last video I did. So just to catch you up on some things. We went through OTAs. We went through the preseason. We rested a lot of our guys. I think we got left PJ. I believe PJ might be on the practice squad. I'm not really sure. Sorry, some of these things I'm just not sure. I should have done better preparation. But I was trying to debate whether or not to get a video out and do one. It was just, sometimes I get really frustrated. I don't think, I just don't get the reactions with the videos I thought I would get. And, I put a lot of time and effort in trying to figure out and do and put on a visually good product. Maybe it's just me. But anyways, aside personal things, we traded Baker Mayfield to get Baker Mayfield. We had our first game this weekend, as you've seen. This was the home opener for the 2022 season. The Panthers played host to the Browns. This was billed as a, quote, revenge game for Baker. Now, Baker came to the Carolina Panthers with I guess everybody's been turning a chip on his shoulder because of how he was treated in the offseason. And in the offseason, mind you, the Cleveland Browns, they gave the house, they gave the city, everything to bring Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans to the Cleveland Browns, hence by nudging out Baker Mayfield, the man who has brought the Cleveland faithful a playoff win for the first time in like 30 years. So he felt slighted out that they were willing to do this and not deal for him. But Cleveland also too felt like, Baker wasn't, right for them. So they traded for Deshaun Watson. So now the Panthers, Matt Rule, it all combines together here. Baker is here for 1 year. A very, very friendly deal. So it really didn't cost us financially as much. But we get into the game. Like I said, this is in more of an overview of it because I usually used to do an intro, a video, and an outro video, but now I'm just going to do like an overview of it. So we look at we saw the stats and we know all the news and what was coming up with this game. We had NC State had left tackle Ike Ekwonu was drafted to the Panthers to play left tackle, to be our future left tackle, because that is something we have been missing for so long, since Jordan Groves basically retired. So he was supposed to be this guy. Now, up and down results of views of Icky, he's a good run blocker. not so much as a pass blocker, which we know is one of the most important things for a left tackle in the NFL because of the speed that these defensive ends are now to try to keep our quarterback protected. So the game was a decent game, just as we thought. Baker came out, was shaky in the first half. Myles Garrett, of course, former teammate of his, did get a couple sacks to move him with him 1.5 of the all-time Cleveland sack record held by Clay Matthews. But unlike last year, the one thing the Panthers did do that was different was that they were able to adjust in the second half. Now, mind you, we don't have a lot of same people or personnel at those positions because Rule did an overhaul of those positions. Now, those positions are filled by NFL experienced coaches who've had numerous years experience. So, I'm going to get right into the game here and stats to you folks. We're going to break it down here. Now, by the looks of this, you can see the Cleveland Browns, of course, had 26. Panthers fell short. Basically, they fell on a short by a field goal here. It says that the Browns are 1-0 for the first time since 2004. And, of course, Baker Mayfield was the one that did this. It was by rookie kicker Cade York, who kicked a 58-yard field goal with just 8 seconds left to put the Browns over the Panthers by 2. And like I said, it really ruined the revenge game that Baker had. Of course, Baker may or may have not said a controversial thing in the paper or in the news that gave the Browns a little bit more incentive in this game. Myles Garrett, of course, said the tone was set with an attitude of some of the guys on the other side, which he is referring to Baker, which Baker's team had a T-shirt that was called "It had us off the leash," apparently making ode to the Browns and the Dog Pound. And then it gives a brief overview here, but it said that he had led them back from a 13.4 quarter deficit with a 4-yard touchdown run, which basically nobody gave an account for Baker. Baker scampered in, got a touchdown, of course. And we saw he hit a long bomb with Robbie Anderson by moving his team down 64 yards in 7 plays. And, of course, here's another surprising aspect, Panther Nation. Eddie Pinheiro, you don't see Zane Gonzalez up there when it says go ahead field goal. Why is that? What's going on with Zane? Well, of course, Zane Gonzalez hurt his groin. For the second straight year, he is out for the season. They had to put him on a season-ending IR. We signed Eddie Pinheiro last week. He did good last week for in a preseason game for us. So we've got him to be our go-ahead kicker for the year, signed to a 1-year deal. Now, Jacoby Brissett was behind under center for the Browns. As I mentioned, Deshaun Watson, of course, he is suspended the first 11 weeks of the season due to a scandal and things that happened in the offseason that really played on for him not playing last year with the Houston Texans. So, let's break down these scores here. And let's break down the scoring here in the box. Now, of course, we see Baker Mayfield here. We see that he basically had 16 of 27 passing for 235 yards. He had 1 touchdown, which was the running one, and he had a passing touchdown. He was sacked 4 times by Myles Garrett, of course, by Ike Ekwonu. Now, Ike is a rookie. He's going to take growing pains, but you have to sometimes throw these rookies into the fire, let them learn. Now, what really about this game that stands out is the rushing attack that Cleveland Browns established, both with Kareem Hunt and with Nick Chubb. Now, these guys ran at will at this supposedly much improved Panthers defensive line. Whenever they wanted to get the runs, they got the runs. There was nothing the Panthers could do to stop them. Nick Chubb, of course, 22 carries for 141 yards, and Kareem had 11 carries for 46 yards and a touchdown. The guys ran at will. They ran over the Panthers. The Panthers were arm tackling. They just weren't. It looked like they weren't trying to tackle. They're playing freeze tag to me. But with all the running, of course, they had over 200 yards rushing, which had little for Jacoby Brissett to do, which he was at 18 of 34 for 147 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 sack. So what do we know about our defensive line? Well, they gave up a lot of runs. They could not get pressure on Jacoby Brissett. They did sack him once, but that was off of a safety blitz. Baker Mayfield was shaky to begin with. We had like 4 different exchanges between the center and Baker where we almost fumbled the ball. Baker did fumble one time. We did get it, and he did have a pick. So a lot going on in this game, Panther Nation. Not the game we were hoping for. We have to be optimism this year. So then we talk about Christian McCaffrey and the Panthers running game. Well, how did the running game do? Well, not so good. 54 total yards rushing. What? 54 yards rushing? Panthers, a rushing team, only 54 yards. Christian, what, 10 carries? He touched the ball 10 times, 33 yards. Really? What about our backups? Well, Dante Foreman, who we signed from Tennessee that was the backup to Derrick Henry, was now the backup to Christian McCaffrey, and Chuba Huba, only 1 touch for 3 yards, 54 yards total, Panther Nation. We did get a touchdown. Baker, of course, scampered in one, and Christian did get one that he got into the end zone with. Receiving-wise, star of the Cleveland Browns was, of course, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, you're like, who is that? Well, I didn't know. He didn't come in until like the 4th quarter. He was making no noise the whole game. The Panthers secondary would seemingly had shut down the passing offense. They hadn't really had the pass course when you got a rushing attack like the Cleveland Browns do with Chubb and Hunt. Why do you need to pass for him? But Donovan Peoples-Jones did get 6 touches for 60 yards for 15, and Kareem Hunt, of course, he did catch a receiving touchdown. He had 4 catches for 24 yards with a touchdown. So, and sorry for my voice, I'm a little under the weather, but I will try to get this video out to you. On the Panther side, surprise, leading the Panthers this week, Panther Nation, is Robbie Anderson. Yes, that same Robbie Anderson who had brick hands last year, who didn't have many yards, one of his career lowest outputs last year, led the way. Well, where is DJ? Well, DJ had 3 catches, 43 yards. So Tommy Tremble even caught the ball. Could you believe it? And we see that Christian McCaffrey. So we had a few receivers, only 235 yards. Robbie's catch, most of the chunk of his yardage was a 75-yard bomb from Baker Mayfield. Now, I said Baker fumbled 4 times. Pat Elflein, the center at the time, fumbled once. So 5 fumbles, and all 5 were fortunately recovered by our Panthers. Now, defensive-wise, Xavier Woods, of course, one of our signees this year in the secondary, led the way with 10 total tackles and a pass defense. Brian Burns, of course, Spider-Man himself, 8 tackles and 5 solo. We did have the linebacker Damian Wilson. Damian Wilson did get 1 sack and a sack for loss, and of course Marquise Haynes Sr., 1 tackle for loss, and Henry Anderson, who was a late pickup for us just this past weekend, had 2 tackles, both for loss. So had a lot of signees. So folks, Uter Gross Matos, not much to contribute in this game. So Panthers, of course, no pressure means no interceptions. Andre Roberts back. He is our new kickoff returner, punt returner. Did little because the Cleveland held the ball. I mean, for so long this week. Pinero, of course, in his long kick, was 1 for 1 with a 34-yarder and was 3 for 3 on extra points. So he did his job. Johnny Hecker, great look. Signed him. He is a Pro Bowl punter, and he did that well for us. He had 5 punts for 250 yards, averaging 50 yards a punt. His longest was a 61-yarder. So he did well, Panther Nation, for us in our special teams game here. Team stats wise, let's break it down here. First downs, of course, both teams matched with 7. Rushing first downs, of course, Panthers were doubled there. Penalty-wise, not very many penalties today, which was surprisingly well, that being the first game of the season. Total plays, though, look at this, 74 to 50. Total yards, 355 to the Panthers, 261. We got blown out, Panthers. We just, even though the score said 26-24, Cleveland just had their way with us, of course. Time of possession, you're not seeing this wrong. 38-26 compared to 21-34. Clock control is vital. Clock control is important. You control the clock, you pretty much control what your team does. And all they did was run the ball. They didn't really have to pass the ball at all with this. And we see at the times here, I mean, it was a beautiful day. It wasn't raining. The field was a tad bit slippery, but it wasn't bad overall. But, I mean, what a stinker. We had a phantom roughing the passer penalty on the last drive for Cleveland had that really wasn't really a penalty on Brian Burns. As we looked, he did push the Cleveland player into his quarterback, but at no time did Burns make contact with Jacoby Brissett at all and just set it up. But we can't all blame it on the referees. The Panthers' defensive line gave up runs all day long, as we see here. 217 yards. First 200 rushing yard game of the season against the Panthers defense. Where did defeated defense go? Who knows? Next week, Carolina plays against the New York Giants. Saquon Barkley had a really good game. Looks like he bounced back from his previous troubles that he's been having, up and down production the last few years. However, we're hoping that he eventually comes back and does well with his, positioning, and does well with his, the Panthers. We hope they learn from the mistakes, work on this pass rush. I mean, this deep rush defense, and two, I mean, it looks bad, Panther Nation. We don't have what we need to have. I mean, it's like we didn't, things we done in the offseason didn't matter. Our quarterback play was, in my opinion, not that as bad as it could have been. The defensive play was, in the secondary, wasn't bad, but the rushing was just terrible. Their defense was rushing. And the thing is, Icky is a run blocker. He can do well with that. But you got to have the other guys ready to step in as well. And it looks like we really didn't. You look at, where did we really change? Where did we really improve in the offseason by the moves we made, the draft picks we picked? If we're still doing the same thing and giving up 200 yards rushing the first week of the season at home at that. I mean, you've seen the way we've seen the past few years. That has been, to me, in my opinion, the same problems every year with rushing and trying to stop the run game. And we never seem to be able to really answer that question. But we can still hold hope. It's a young season, Panther Nation. It's one game down, 16 games to go. We play the Giants next week. Hopefully we can bounce back, get back to 500, and put a win in a win column for the Panthers. So, sorry for my voice, Panther Nation. I'll hopefully feel well enough next week, but when I come back with you another video. As always, like and subscribe to my channel. Give a thumbs up to this video. Any comments, opinions, things you want to share, just drop them in the comments, and I will definitely get back to you. So, as always, I will keep subscribed to my channel. I subscribe to my social media accounts. They will be in the description. Link is there. So, once again, Panther Nation, this is Bill Mack with the Panther Prowl saying, keep pounding.